right. Hi, Kyle. Thanks for joining us here at the CES 2021 virtual show. Can you briefly tell my viewers what your mission is, what your company is doing?
Yeah, so hey everyone, my name is Kyle Rand. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Rendever. And at Rendever, we spent the past 5 years building a full end-to-end virtual reality platform built specifically with the mission of reducing social isolation for the aging population, specifically through the power of virtual reality and shared experiences.
Okay, that's great. And then I looked up your background and I saw that you have education dealing with memory loss in seniors. Can you tell me a little bit about how that motivated you to do what you're doing?
Yeah. Honestly, across my entire life, working with seniors has been a component. So I actually grew up volunteering in a senior living community in upstate New York. And it was a pretty special experience. And it was also really fun because it was one of the I think it's the only community that I've ever been to. And at this point, I've been to hundreds. The only community that actually had an in-house ice cream parlor. So as kids, we used to go in every single day and scoop ice cream for residents, which was honestly, it was a lot of fun. And we got unlimited ice cream, which was also a lot of fun. And then I went to school and I studied cognitive decline in the aging population and spent a lot of time looking at, what we were looking at back then was specifically, we had an fMRI based lab. So we were looking at how, structural changes in the brain that happen as you age correlate with a lot of the deficits that we think of. So the biggest study that I worked on was looking at how structural changes in the brain correlated with kind of inefficiencies and deficiencies in making strong, sound, economic-based decisions. So we think a lot about seniors and how they fall prey to, scams and how they might give out their passwords or they might donate money to places that don't really matter. So we were doing a lot of work on that. And really what that ended up being for me was I spent a lot of time as a programmer. So I would program a lot of the experiments on this really ugly, awful UI and then brain a bunch of residents through it. And I got the unique opportunity to learn how this demographic interacted with technology and specifically very clunky technology. And then right around the time that I was graduating, my grandmother was diagnosed with her second round of cancer, and my family went through a pretty tough process and ultimately moved her into a senior living community. And I really got to see, one step removed, how that whole process impacted everybody involved. And for my grandmother, she unfortunately, upon the move, started declining pretty quickly. And fast forward a few years, and I met up with my other co-founders, one of whom had a similar experience, and we started digging through the data. And what we found was that this kind of trap of social isolation is something that happens, and it's pretty alarming. And it happens to a lot of people who move into senior living communities, right? Because they go from having an entire world at their fingertips, right? We're talking 8 decades of life in this big world, and then all of a sudden it gets shrunk into the 4 walls of the building. And a lot of things happen during that, but isolation really tends to set in. And it's something that people think about as something that's just lonely or sad. But if you look at the data, social isolation is as detrimental to one's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, nobody really understands. It's significant, and we're talking about increases in heart attack, increases in risk of stroke, in hypertension and diabetes, a 60% increase in risk of dementia, which is obviously terrifying. And then obviously depression and suicide is, unfortunately commonly linked. And there's just there's a need to allow people to, once they make this transition, to continue to live life. And to continue to live life in a socially empowered way. So right around 2015, 2016, when we were starting, VR was just becoming a big topic, right? New York Times had just sent out their cardboards to all subscribers, and people were plugging their phones into that piece of cardboard and trying VR for the first time at a big scale. And what we saw was this technology that really, you boil it down, and you can bring people anywhere in the world and allow them to do anything. And that is the perfect tool for this demographic. So we took that and we really just started built it and really took it with this core belief that, great VR is amazing. There's so many cool things that you can do, but the power of it is through the shared experience. And so we've built an entire platform over the past 5 years built on this concept of, the foundation of all human connection is shared positive experiences, and VR is the platform in which we're going to allow people across the aging process to have those shared experiences.
Wow, that was that was a nice soundbite there. What you boiled it all down to the meaning of human experience is shared positive
Yeah.
experiences.
Shared positive experiences, the foundation of human connection. Unfortunately, the foundation of human connection can also be shared negative experiences, but we tend towards the positive side.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Let me see. I jotted down some notes here. Um, so when you say shared positive experiences, so how does that work? For your platform, are you connecting people virtually in different locations, or the seniors living in the same environment, or family members, or all the above?
All the above. So we started with a focus on residents of the same community, right? Because we have these community settings where people are living together, but they might not be building really thriving social relationships. So we started there. We're like, let's make sure that we build a platform that allows people to come and sit down next to each other, explore the world, right? Do something cool, stand on top of the Eiffel Tower, go on a hot air balloon ride, go back to one of the residents' childhood homes, right? Do these meaningful things, and through that also build out a platform that gets the staff who are facilitating the sessions to actually build conversations around the experiences. Because once you get those conversations started, right, then you can take the headset off and the conversation continues to flow naturally. So that's where we focused first. And then right before the pandemic hit, we were actually working on a study funded by the National Institutes on Aging and one of the National Institutes of Health, looking at the impact of shared VR, not between residents, but with residents of a senior living community, and specifically those on the memory care spectrum, with a family member who's living far away, who otherwise doesn't have a lot of opportunity to share any experience. So they're able to put on their headsets, hundreds of miles away, join a group VR session and do these same experiences. And we were looking at the impacts of how those experiences across time really impacted mental health for each individual, but also the dyadic relationship health. And the results are super promising. And we were actually fast tracked to a phase 2 clinical trial, which we're eagerly awaiting funding award for. So fingers crossed on that side.
Okay.
And then on the third one, what we've actually built out within the past year is something called Rendever Live, which allows all of our clients, we're in about 250 locations across North America. Any one of our clients twice a week can join a Rendever Live session in which we have an internal instructor, right? Think like Peloton. We have an internal instructor who's going to lead a walking tour of Paris. And they're going to go stop by stop. They're going to educate you and talk to you and do trivia facts about the locations. And anybody in any of our community groups can join those sessions. And we're then broadcasting it across literally hundreds of locations and connecting hundreds of seniors, which is pretty cool and pretty fun.
Wow, that's great. And is that going to be broadcast in 4K, or do you know?
I don't actually know. I mean, the resolution is strong, but I don't know.
Okay.
That's a question for our CTO.
Okay. Now so it's kind of interesting. Like, you don't really think about VR as having health benefits, but like what you were just saying, like you could be, helping slow deteriorating memory or actual, terminal diseases, slowing down the progression or whatever. So one more question. Do you have, are you related to any applications that are currently available on the Oculus, which is becoming so popular?
Yeah, so definitely. I think the biggest one is Alcove.
So you guys are the creators.
Yeah. So we work directly so AARP has been a partner of ours since 2017 because we were partnered through the Mass Challenge Health Tech program. And then a little into the partnership, we decided to co-create this platform, Alcove, that is available on Quest now, that takes a lot of the technology that we've built and a lot of the approach that we've built and makes it really available to the public. So anybody with a Quest today can go in and download Alcove.
Yeah, I was really excited when I found that, and then I was reading your company's profile and everything. I was like, man, this feels like this is from these guys, and then it actually was. I mean, I built out a there's a photo gallery in the living room, so you can walk from the couch and then go to the living room, and you can place your personal memories on the wall in frames with lighting and shadows. And And it was just like so comfortable, and it feels very, very homely. I mean, it doesn't feel like a digital experience. It feels like you're in your living room, which is, perfect for the seniors. And then I also noticed the games, the gaming, and simple. What did you have? Checkers and a few others.
Yeah.
But that's something really cool to think about. Like, like let's say you're in New York or Boston, and then your loved one is in Los Angeles. You can have a grandparent playing checkers with a grandchild on the other coast, right?
Yep.
In real
Exactly.
time.
Exactly.
I mean, that's far out. That's
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you think of the environment as being homely, because like we put a lot of time and effort into making sure that that was really the feeling that we were trying to get across, because there's not a lot that exists in the app ecosystem right now that falls into like a real tried and true like family category. So the feeling of like homeliness and warmth within the environment that we built out, I'm glad that that's getting across, because that's obviously a big focus. And yeah, I mean, checkers is great. And I gotta say, like, my family I grew up playing games all the time. It's all we do. Like I got to go home for the holidays. I did the whole quarantine and everything, and got to go home and see my family for a bit. And we pretty much spent the entire time playing board games. And like I've spent the past year with my dad playing cribbage through like FaceTime, where my mom will like hold the phone and then she'll like do what I say and like move the pegs, etc. And I was like, we really need to get cribbage into Alcove. So I think keep your eyes out. There are a lot of things that are going to be coming in, and we're going to continue to make the content and the experience even more expansive. So we're really excited.
okay. Well, congrats on that. That's amazing. I really like that. And the problem is that a lot of seniors that I would like to get involved, they don't have VR headsets.
Right.
And when you tell them about it, if it's someone that hasn't used it before, and I'm sure you've ran into this before, they say, "Oh no, that will make me dizzy. That will give
Mm-hmm.
me a headache. That will no, I'm not going to touch that." So because I've actually tried. I've got an aunt, and she's like approaching 90, but she was fearful
Mm-hmm.
of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's something that comes up all the time, and really it comes down to approach, right? I'll say my very first VR experience, I got dizzy because
Hmm.
my co-founder Tom put me on a headset and put me on a roller coaster, and
Oh
I got
yeah.
immediate vertigo, right?
Hmm.
So it like regardless of who you are, there's an opportunity the first time you try VR to have a bad experience. And that's why it's so important that everyone across the industry is really understanding like how to approach things. I would say with this demographic, probably the smartest thing that we did was we built out a really strong waiting room. So within any of our clientele, and it's similar to the Alcove outside porch environment. So anytime you put on a headset, a Rendever headset, you're immediately put into this nice, easy waiting room in which you feel like you're in like a homely environment. Like you're looking out over a beautiful meadow, you see butterflies like flapping around you, you hear like nice nature sounds. And we've had like so many demonstrations in which we put people on and they get in the waiting room and they're like, wow, like this is amazing. Like we haven't even started the experience yet, right? So if you can make sure that the very first thing that you are in is something that is comforting and relaxing, it makes taking the jump into skydiving, right, a lot easier and like more tangible than if you were to just start right there.
Yeah, yeah, that's good advice. And then one more thing is during COVID with
Mm-hmm.
the you know germ phobia, and it's real problem. How do you overcome sharing VR headsets during
Yeah,
this situation?
yeah. So the, two things here. So typically, if you look at a lot of the videos that we have on our website or on our social media platforms, right, it's all up until the pandemic. It was all bring groups of residents into the same room, put them in a headset. They would have they would have their shared experience, and they would be talking right in person, and they would just hear each other because they're sitting next to each other. Obviously, the moment that COVID hit, we realized that we can't do that anymore. So luckily, we had already been developing this because of the NIH grant that we were working on, but we immediately launched voice communication. So that way within communities, right, you would bring the resident or you would bring the headset to each individual resident within their room, and they would stay physically separate. But once they put that headset on, the voice channel would open, they would be able to talk to each other. So they still, honestly, from an end user perspective, it's pretty similar to what it was pre-pandemic, because you get the full visual experience, and then the audio experience is you're still talking to people. So that was really important from a user experience perspective. And then from a cleanliness perspective, right, what happens when you take that headset off? Luckily, like the senior living industry, as soon as the pandemic hit, knowing that the demographic that is, most susceptible to COVID-19 are the clientele they're taking care of, right? The safety precautions, the sanitary procedures, like everything is like absolutely top notch. So they're really used to and have really good protocols around cleaning equipment. And then we've also had some of our clients work with a company, Cleanbox Technology, right, which makes that UV box that totally sanitizes all headsets. So there's a few different options, but in general, the industry, the senior living industry, and their approach is so strong because it really needs to be.
Yeah. Okay. And then thanks. I mean, that you've given a great interview, covered a lot of things. And then is there anything you want to leave with people to know where they can find out more information, or what to look forward to, or anything you want to close with?
Yeah, so by all means, please visit our website, rendever.com, and learn more about us. And there's a lot that we have going on. There are some things that we really wish that we were ready to announce by CES, but end of year kind of took us by storm. But one of the things that we're really excited to be working on, that we have a bunch going on, is we're actively ramping up content partnerships. So we're doing a bunch of cool things. We're working with the Taza Chocolate Factory right now. We were just at the St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York. The oldest bar in New York, and maybe the oldest bar in America. We were just on site yesterday. So what we see is there's a lot of opportunities across the US where people are creating these cool experiences for the general population, but there's a huge population within the aging demographic that will never get to go and see those experiences. So we're really eager to continue ramping up content partners. So if there's anybody who's listening who has something cool or knows somebody who's doing something really cool that we can work on a VR content partnership together, like, we are all ears, and we're eager to bring the story that, like, impact that we're seeing on a daily basis to more and more people. So please reach out.
Okay, that's great, because I do know a lot of content creators with 360-degree cameras, and that's what I was asking about. 4K, 8K, 12K,
Yeah.
like, what are the requirements?